And they were in the UEFA Cup final in 2006, where, despite having the likes of Viduka, Hasselbank and Yakubu in their matchday squad, they were mashed 4-0 by Sevilla. Here we go. Welcome to the Pompey Pod, and this is our Middlesbrough Preview with me and Dan. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Middlesbrough.
All right. So, away at Middlesbrough this week. So this is one thing I didn't think about initially, but not only have Pompey got some horrendous fixtures at the beginning of their first year back in the Championship, we've got some travelling for those Pompey fans that travel away from home. Leeds first up, Middlesbrough this weekend, Burnley next up. It's kind of like, Jesus.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Some long trips.
Tell us about our previous games against the Borough, Dan. How do we fare head-to-head?
Well, head-to-head, a bit like Luton last week. I thought our head-to-head would be worse than it was, but it's not as bad as I thought. We have played a whopping 111 games against Middlesbrough. We've won 38, drawn 31, and lost 42. So
that is
a slight
close.
edge. But in the last 25 games, Mike, we've only lost 4 of those 25.
Nice.
And three of those defeats have come in the last 8 games. So the last 8 games, we've played 8, we've only won 1, drawn 4, and lost 3. So they've got the slight edge for the last 8 games. But before that, we've actually got not a bad record. A lot of draws between the two. Seems to be a lot of draws in the last sort of 20 years.
Okay.
So yeah, there you go.
All right. Shall I tell you a little bit about Middlesbrough FC, Dan?
Go on then.
See if you know this. So Middlesbrough FC were formed in 1876, but they didn't enter the Football League until 1899 when they turned professional at that stage. They nearly went bust in 1986, but they were saved by a consortium led by the then 28-year-old Steve Gibson, still chairman to this day, or CEO, or whatever he is. They won the League Cup in 2004 under the Dutchman, Steve McLaren, and they were in the UEFA Cup final in 2006, where, despite having the likes of Viduka, Hasselbank and Yakubu in their matchday squad, they were mashed 4-0 by Sevilla.
Right,
so there you go. There's a brief history of Middlesbrough FC. What else can you tell us about them?
Well, I'll tell you about the ground, if you like, and some information for our travelling fans.
Yeah. Sounds good to me.
So, Middlesbrough play at the Riverside, which they've done since 1995, which has a capacity of just under 35,000, 34,742 to be exact.
All right,
so
nice.
Away fans usually get about 3,000 to 3,500 tickets. So I'll expect Pompey to fill that out. It's just under 310 miles up to Middlesbrough. So if you're travelling by car, it's about 5.5 hours. I would have thought between 5 and 6 hours. So it's quite a long one. And for those of you travelling by car, if you're looking for parking, there is a small amount of parking at the stadium, which you can find in Car Park E, and it's around about £8.50 for the day.
Bargain.
Yeah. And away turnstiles for the fans are numbers 53 to 61, if you needed to know that. And they'll be open 1.5 hours before kickoff.
Sweet.
So there you go. Pub-wise, I had a look for some pubs to see which ones sort of are good for the away fans. It was quite hard to find a particular one, but one that was mentioned a couple of times was the Isaac Wilson pub, which is on Wilson Street. That's about a 20 to 25-minute walk from the ground. Yeah, that's what I thought. Some of the away fans in the forum said it's quite a nice pub, got a good atmosphere. And then there was another one called the Infant Hercules, which is on Grange Road, which is 15 minutes from the Riverside, which even says on its website that it's good for away fans. And I can tell you what it says on its website, Mike. It says its close location to the Riverside has resulted in a developing national reputation amongst discerning away football supporters, with matchday Saturdays resulting in a tremendous atmosphere.
Ah, nice.
So there you go. If you are going up there, try the Infant Hercules, 15-minute walk from the ground.
There'll certainly be an atmosphere with some Pompey fans in there, won't there?
Yeah.
And we tend to be a bit less. Here's some players that have played for both teams, Dan. In recent times, I won't go back. There's quite a few, so I won't go back too far. But going back the furthest, I suppose you've got Uncle Gianluca, played for Borough 5 years in the Prem, mostly in the Prem, and also played in our promotion season.
Yep.
Under the red nap. Obviously, you've got Yakubu, played for and scored many goals for both sides. Actually left Portsmouth to join Middlesbrough for around about £9 million, if I remember rightly. I didn't research that, but I'm thinking that's around about right. And here's one that I forgot about. Actually, played for both. I remember him playing for Pompey, but not so much for Borough. But David the Nugget Nugent played for Portsmouth, obviously signed for us for £6 whole million from Preston back in the day. Didn't do much for Pompey. He signed for Borough after leaving Leicester for around about £2 million. Didn't do too much for them in his couple of seasons there either.
Nice info.
Thanks. What can you add?
No, I can tell you about their manager if you like.
Oh,
do you know who the manager is?
Is it former Tottenham and Manchester United midfielder Michael Carrick?
It is Michael Carrick, yes. So Michael Carrick, managerial wise, he was in charge of Man United for a maximum of 3 games after the bidding of Mourinho and Solskjaer. He took temporary charge, and then in October 22, he was made head coach of Middlesbrough. And at the time when he joined, they were 21st in the Championship after 16 games. And after he joined, they went on to win 16 in the next 23 games, finished 4th that season. So pretty good, but lost in the playoff semi-finals to Coventry. And then in his second season, they reached the semi-finals of the EFL Cup. I don't know whether you remember this. They beat Chelsea at home 1-0 in the first semi-final, and then they lost 6-1 in the second leg, and they finished 8th in the league. But he's got a win percentage of 51%, which is 46 wins out of 90. So pretty good.
Decent.
Yeah, pretty decent, yeah. Tactically, he rarely switches from a 4-2-3-1 formation, but he says that game to game, he prefers a more reactive approach, making tweaks and adaptations during play to find a way to win games. So I think what he was actually saying is that he doesn't put too much emphasis on formation, but he will try and do whatever he can during a game to win, which I think is what most managers do, don't they, really?
Yeah, I think that's the general job of a manager, isn't it?
Yeah,
the general job is to set your team up and then maybe make some changes to try and win the game if it's not going as planned.
Yeah, but apparently he's quite rigid with that formation. They said that he only changed to a back 3 when they played teams like, I think it said Villa and Chelsea in the Cup. So that's probably what we're looking at on Saturday as a 4-2-3-1.
Similar to the Moose.
Yes, and he signed a new 3-year contract this year.
Okay,
good. But apparently he's quite highly regarded up there. There seems to be quite a lot.
That was obviously to warn off from the England job, I guess, to get the new 3-year contract. Okay, shall I tell you about some of their players, Dan? We've got Emmanuel Latelath, I believe is pronounced. I may be wrong. He's a 25-year-old Ivory Coast international, 2 games for the Ivory Coast. Signed for them from Atalanta this time last year, or just a little bit earlier than this time last year. Scored 18 goals last season in 36 games. Good return in the Championship, I think. And has already got off the mark this season with a goal in his first game. Scored quite heavily towards the back end of last season as well, 7 goals in the final 6 games of last season. They also have Isaiah Jones, a tasty right winger, 25 years old also. He got 9 goals in 41 games last year. And last but not least, who can forget our beloved Matthew Clark, 27-year-old centre-back.
Yes, of course.
League 2 and EFL trophy winner with Portsmouth, and also back-to-back Player of the Year in his time at Portsmouth. I think he was there, 3.5 seasons? It was probably 2 of those seasons he was Player of the Year. Absolute quality centre-back for us. Obviously, been riddled with injuries kind of over the last, 5 or 6 years since then, but is now back playing regularly, which is good for him at Borough. So, there you go. That's Middlesbrough for you. Do you remember where they played prior to the Riverside, Dan?
Ayresome Park.
Oh, right, straight off the bat. Wow, great, straight in there. Okay, so that's our Middlesbrough preview. What do you think the score is going to be this weekend? Two draws so far.
What did I say against? Yeah, I got the Luton prediction sort of right. I said a draw, didn't I? But I said it'd be high scoring. Did I say a draw for Luton? For Leeds,
I think you said a defeat, a narrow defeat. I think you said.
Yeah. So I'm going to be negative again and go for a defeat. I just think it's one of those games, in it, all the way to Middlesbrough. They've just had a bad. Yeah. Did you? I don't know whether you saw any of the highlights against Derby, but they absolutely.
I haven't seen them yet, but obviously lost, didn't they?
They lost 1-0, but they battered them. They had loads of shots.
What Borough did?
Yeah.
Borough
won comfortably. So I think maybe they're going to be bouncing back from that. I just think it's been difficult. A defeat.
Cool. A defeat. How many? Yeah. 2?
2-1. A 2-1 really rubbish defeat.
2-1. Okay. In that case, do you know what I'm going to go? I'm going to go. My head says we're going to struggle. We are going to struggle. There's no two ways about it. We're going to struggle. But I'm going to go. At every game so far, you've looked at it on paper and you thought we're going to struggle. So I'm going to go entertaining draw for the third game in a row.
Okay.
There you go.
Feel happy with that?
Entertaining draw. You'd take it, wouldn't you?
Yeah. If we draw every game, do we stay up? That's 46 points.
Well, we should do 46 points. Well, last year 51 was what Plymouth had to stay up, so it'll be tight. Let's hope we get a couple of wins at least. That's our Middlesbrough roundup. What do you think, Pompey fans? Put your comments, your scores in the comments. Let us know what you think the result will be. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. We are at Pompey Pod. Your contributions are always gratefully received, and we interact with the majority of them, even the rude ones. So we'll be back for the review of the Middlesbrough game around about this time next week. But for now, it's goodbye.
Bye.